Amateur Hour. Jeez, podcast. Amateur Hour. Jeez, podcast. Amateur Hour podcast on KC Sports Network. Amateur on KC Sports Network. Hour on KC Sports Network. Podcast on KC Sports Net. We're gonna talk Chiefs football for you, and you, and you, and you.
What is this, amateur hour?
Yeah, I ain't no Superman businessman like you. You know, I'm just an
amateur,
I suppose.
Amateur hour
is what's happening.
Amateur hour
Is what's happening.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Yeah, that's right, folks. The show is called Amateur Hour. I am Ryan Scott Hall, and joining me today, a man who has coordinated some of the most electric flag football offenses Lenexa, Kansas has ever seen. His Dirkness.
So accurate, all accurate.
Yeah, I figured.
We had some new voices in the flag football room.
How to keep it fresh. How to bring new ideas all the time.
Yeah. That meant me leaving.
In fact, they say
it meant me leaving and somebody else, a new voice coming in.
Well, you know. So Dirk, I have some breaking news. I don't know if you've been checking. Chiefs hired Eric Bieniemy.
What?
The Chiefs hired Eric Bieniemy.
Is that UCLA 2024 offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy?
Does anybody have proof that happened? I've erased that from my memory.
I'm sure they were good. We'll look it up. I'm sure they're good.
Well, there's more news to get to, I'm sure, and because we are so beloved across Chiefs Kingdom, I would imagine that maybe Brett Veach even has some news that's going to break during the show. Who knows? It's possible. But first, Dirk, the people have been wondering. They've been asking. They've been pondering. They've been knocking on my door. They've been beating it down. They said, "Hey, man, does Dirk have a big thing this week?"
Why? Yes, I do. Dirk does have a big thing. Maybe more of a medium thing, a semi, if you will. But yeah, got the Dirk big thing. Step aside, Diggler. Dirk big thing here. I am happy with the Benemy return. Not ecstatic, but certainly not mad. I know some are upset because they are so desperate for new voices in the building, which is an idea that I want to push back on just a bit. An idea that everybody has just kind of latched onto as gospel, that getting new voices in the offensive staff is the absolute fix to the offensive woes for the Chiefs. Like, it's the only thing that matters and will automatically fix things, which I haven't really disagreed with up to this point, but I have been pushing the idea all along that changes we want to see will ultimately come from one Andrew Reid. But for some reason, people think Andy is now incapable of making changes and evolving, which I just don't understand, because we've seen major renovations to this Chiefs offense multiple times in his tenure. 2018, a whole new offense with Mahomes at the helm. Yes, having Mahomes helps, but he produced a top 5 offense of all time with a first-year starter that was vastly different from the offense that we saw in 2017. And if we want to give all that improvement credit to Mahomes, that's fine, but you can't deny that Andy made big changes in updating the offense that year. Benemy was on the staff. Kafka was on the staff, but neither were new in 2018, so new voices didn't make those changes. Andy Reid did. 2022, first year without Tyreek Hill. Again, major changes to the offense. Number one offense in the NFL with a ragtag group of receivers, vastly different than the 2021 offense with Tyreek Hill. Mike Kafka had left that year. Matt Nagy had came in. We given Nagy the credit as the new voice for that season? Or was that Andy Reid? 2023, offense struggles with a historically bad season of play from the receivers. Mostly the same group as from 2022. They still make it work in the playoffs, but a step down, obviously. 2024, they decided to revamp the wide receiver room, but injuries hit hard. Hollywood Brown out most of the year. Rashee Rice only plays 3 games. Pacheco hurt. Juju and Sky Moore hurt, so there's no depth either. Offensive line play is terrible. Offense struggles, but does just enough of most of the season. Plays 2 great playoff games and 1 big stinker, obviously. 2025, and maybe this is where people will diverge from me, but going into the season with the strategy of our offensive line should be much improved with our new franchise left tackle, and our receivers should be healthy this year. The offense will work again, same as it did before. I think that's a very reasonable line of thinking. Maybe some disagree with me here. Obviously, it did not work out, but a tweet from Mitch Schwartz about a month ago, answering, it's always kind of stuck with me, answering a question about changing up the offensive scheme mid-season. His tweet says, it has to be part of what you already do. You spend the entire offseason and training camp trying to figure out what you're going to be best at, and you have the framework of your playbook set. Schematic changes during the year are a shifting of emphasis on plays inside that overall package. So he's saying they need the offseason to install overarching changes like that to the offense. So obviously the offseason plan failed. Everybody knows that, and the Chiefs know that. They have been saying as much in their press conferences after the season. Andy saying that the defense didn't respect the run game. Play action wasn't effective. Moves on from Matt Nagy. Mahomes saying they need new ideas every day from their offensive coordinator. So clearly they know the time for changes is now. So my big thing this week is just that this team knows they need to make changes to their offense after last year. And I still believe Andy Reid is the man capable of making those changes because of what we've seen from him in the past, even without bringing in a whole new cast of characters, which for the record, I'm not even against. I just don't think it's the end all be all, like it's kind of been pushed around at this point. And that's my big thing. Just that the big changes are coming from Andy Reid, and they are coming.
And I think that the more I have either seen on social or heard on a few different podcasts, people kind of responding to even just like the notion of a Bieniemy, or I think that maybe people were less negative on the possibility of Kafka because of how long he had been gone and whatever. But I think where I'm landing on this, the more I'm hearing is that, like, look, a lot of people are saying this isn't enough, that Bieniemy is not enough of a change or whatever to fix all the problems, I guess, of the last couple of years. It's kind of like some of us have this idea in our heads that change can only come from an outside source. And because Bieniemy's been here before, there's just no way that he can bring any new ideas to the table. And if you were to say, oh, well, he just spent the last year of his life working with Ben Johnson in ultimately helping a group of guys put together the second best rushing offense in the NFL in terms of total yards. They were the number 1 offense in the league in terms of explosive plays. But he was only there for 1 year, so he can't actually bring anything back. He didn't learn a whole lot during that time. I'm thinking, though, that I don't know. To me, it's wild that we have a lot of folks claiming that Andy Reid, of all people, utilizes exclusively original ideas. Like, some of you are pretending that Andy Reid can't sit down and watch tape and borrow from other systems of his own accord. Like, beyond that, honestly, do you guys not think that Andy can figure out what other teams are doing on 3rd and 8 against the blitz or whatever, unless he like hires someone from a McVay tree or a Shanahan tree? Is that the only way to learn what they're doing? I'm sorry. I just don't believe that, especially for someone of Andy Reid's caliber. It's like some of us have gotten tunnel vision here, or like you're just bored, because there's no way that you think Andy Reid is incapable of fixing this offense. What are we doing here? Like, am I crazy? Like, what's the blindness to this, Dirk? I genuinely don't understand it. Have you given that much thought? Like, why does everyone think Andy can't just watch tape and figure out what he needs to change? Watch the league, see what is working, and just say, oh, okay, I like what they did here. I like what they did here. Like, why does he have to hire someone from one of those systems to be able to see what they're doing? It's Andy Reid. He's a Hall of Famer. Like, what are we talking about here? Have we lost faith in him? Like, is that what it is for those people? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. It's just been adopted by everybody so hard that we're just like only looking through things with the prism of that like one idea. And it is really weird. And I get that the last 3 years have all been worse than what we've expected. So if you're looking at it like that, I mean, I get it, but I just kind of look at their line of reasoning along the way, and I get it. It's all justifiable. It all kind of makes sense. Like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why the wide receivers are so damn bad in 2023, but okay, we fixed it. Then they all get hurt. Damn, that sucks. The offense should have been back to the way it was if they didn't get hurt. And then we go into this year thinking that after saying it for what feels like forever, and we kind of get to see it and it doesn't work. Okay, so now it doesn't work. And maybe that's just enough for people. And they've seen enough. You had your chance. You should have foreseen this coming last offseason, and that was the time to make changes. I guess I can see that. I just don't. We were all saying it. And if you tell me that, Josh Simmons is going to pan out, I mean, obviously he gets hurt and misses some games in here. But if he's going to pan out and the receivers more or less stay healthy for the year, we got Rashid's suspension and Xavier with the nagging injury. But if you're telling me we get that many games from them, I would think the offense will be back to normal. And so maybe that's the end all be all for them. And they've just seen enough. And they think he can't fix it. Maybe they think he's too old. But I just look at his history and his ability to evolve and adapt throughout time. And he's always come through. So I don't know why, and unless you just think he's too old. That is on the table. I mean, the man is 68 years old. You may just reach a breaking point. Is 68? Is that right? We may just reach a breaking point where it's too old and it's just kind of the game has passed him by. And maybe that's where people are at. I do not think we are at that point now.
He will be 68 in March. And I'm with you. I don't think that we're at he's too old territory. And I mean, I think it's okay if people do think that. But ultimately, I personally, my read on the situation is more, as I said in the monologue, like, I think you are probably more bored with the offense than you are like thinking that Andy can't do anything better or that Andy can't do anything different. Like, you are sick of watching it or sick of the fact that we've had the same coach for 13 years. You just want something different. And I mean, look, it's hard being a fan. Everybody's gonna interpret things differently. And ultimately, I think there's a lot of things that we just simply don't know. I also think, another layer of this to me on like trying to actually take it back to Bieniemy, I think that we got to consider the possibility that he falls into, it's not the same category, but it's kind of like a similar category as Spagnuolo, in that like Eric Bieniemy is too good a coach to just be a running backs coach. And I honestly think that he is in some ways overqualified to be an offensive coordinator. His resume with the Chiefs, if he were coaching any other offense in the league, he would have been hired like that. But because of something in his background or the way that he rubs people, like the way he coaches or something, like he cannot manage to get a head coaching job. But like, I don't know, man. Like, I think that he is an incredibly talented and like results based coach. I think that he has exceptional resume. I know that people kept saying that he failed the last 2 years. Washington, you guys think that there's somebody out there that was going to put up more than 4 wins with Sam Howell, who wasn't on a roster this season, by the way. That was 2 years ago. He started 17 games. Like, Bieniemy was given an absolute atrocity as a roster in Washington in a final season of Ron Rivera before he gets fired. You know, he gets caught up in a really bad situation. And again, I told you, I blacked out for UCLA. I don't even know what happened there. I have no idea how Eric Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator underneath someone who had basically zero coaching experience anywhere at all. It did not make sense. So, like, obviously Eric is not for everybody. And I understand that, but like, part of me, and again, we get back into this because I think Andy only has a few years left here. Some of these decisions really matter. I want to dig into that a little bit more on the other side of this break.
I'm Brett Goodwin, one of the owners of The Learning Tree. The Learning Tree is a neighborhood toy store in Prairie Village, Kansas. This has been here in this location since 2000s, and my husband Alan and I purchased the store in 2023. Alan and I grew up in families where we've always wanted to have a business together. Alan grew up, for instance, his parents had a jewelry store. I worked in a local toy store here in Prairie Village when I was growing up. When this opportunity happened in 2023, we knew right away we wanted to contact them and pursue the store. We wouldn't have been able to get the store without the team at Emprise Bank. From the day we contacted them, they knew what we needed to do, which was very helpful. I would absolutely recommend the team at Emprise Bank to anyone looking to secure a business. We worked with Emprise from day one. They were extremely helpful. They were always great resources. We talk to them frequently. They know the area. They're very friendly. We know who we're going to talk with, and they know what we need to do. We hope we'll see you at the Learning Tree.
Hey, what's happening, people? It is Benny Heiss, KCSN betting analyst. And while the Chiefs may not be in the playoffs, that doesn't mean there is not plenty of action to go around for the rest of you that are still crazy fans of the National Football League. And with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, it makes every playoff moment feel bigger. So whether you're looking at individual matchups in the wild card, or for a possible Super Bowl matchup, or for futures come postseason time, DraftKings has your back, and they also have your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop goes down at any point in the first half, guess what? You can still get paid in cash. What an opportunity. What a way to be able to enjoy the playoffs and not worry about anybody that you include in those props going down, especially early on, and ruining the rest of all of your legs. So here's what you do. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the code KCSN, that is code KCSN, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Remember, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. You must be 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
So I mentioned that Andy's only got a few years left. And to me, I could be wrong here. Maybe he's not thinking about it this way. I'm thinking about it this way, though. This bringing back of Bieniemy and whatever changes they implement as far as like the structure and the emphasis of the offense is concerned, it may not be like completely permanent. It might have to evolve like as Mahomes gets healthier, and whether that's this season to next season, or it's just over the course of that first season while he's coming back that the offense changes. But like, this is probably the last big tinkering that Andy has in him. And not that he will have run out, but like that's just what I'm imagining in terms of the timeline. If memory serves, I believe he has 3 years left on the extension that he signed. And I think that that's probably the end. And maybe it happens before then, and maybe he signs an extension. But in my brain, I'm thinking he's going to honor the 3 years on this contract, and that's like what he's looking at. And so this is potentially the final iteration of Andy Reid's offense, coached by Andy Reid.
And just for the record, I'm putting a lot of faith in Andy Reid because of what he's done, because of what I've seen him do. Mm. But he has to come through next year. It's not. I'm kind of planting these excuses for these last couple years, but next year there's not going to be an excuse. There's not any free passes given out next year. I promise you, I will not come on here unless, I mean, obviously Mahomes gets hurt or Mahomes just isn't the same after his injury, kind of thing. Barring that, the offense should be back to it. I don't think it'll ever reach 2018 levels again. That's Mahomes on a rookie deal, and that's the most talent you can possibly put around a first year quarterback. I don't think they'll ever reach that level again. Defenses are different. Everything was different. I don't even think they'll get to 2022 again. I think that will just kind of stand out as, you know, a one-off year that I think they benefited. First off, they still had prime Travis Kelce, and it was the first year after Tyreek Hill, so defenses didn't really know what to expect that year. So I think they were just, defenses didn't have like a plan going in as the Chiefs. And then after that year, they kind of got, you know, defenses kind of had some help doing that. But I'm just saying, if next year we don't see the results on the field, then I will join the chorus of everybody else. And, you know, either we need to get major new voices, or look at what's going to happen beyond Andy Reid, kind of thing.
And I don't think that, I don't think anybody that fits in the same camp that you and I do, in terms of like kind of, you know, feels like we're having to be the ones standing up to defend Andy Reid at this point. I think that there are some that think the only way that Andy's time is up is like when he decides. I had a conversation with a friend of mine last night that said, you can't fire Andy.
Well, and that's the thing. I just have no idea like what the end looks like. If that happens next year, I don't. And maybe that's kind of what people are afraid of, that the Chiefs won't be able to pull the trigger, because Clark Hunt always preaches like he wants the longevity. He always mentioned the Steelers as the example when he's hiring the coach, when he was hiring Andy Reid. I want a coach to be here for the next, 15, 20 years. And we're well on our way for that. But I don't know. It would be hard to push him out the door with the amount of success he has. So it kind of turns ugly if it gets to that situation.
Well, there's a lot of things have changed over the last couple of weeks. Andy has become the longest tenured head coach in the NFL because the only people that were ahead of him were let go. And he was only separated by a few years from a couple of those guys, but like Andy is now the oldest coach in the league because Pete Carroll is not employed. And he is the longest tenured coach in the league. And both of those things in some ways are like working against him. And they don't have to be, right? They're positives too. I think though that like we know very little about the way that Clark Hunt operates. We can, have all this conjecture about like what we think Clark Hunt might do. To me, the only thing we've really seen is that when Clark Hunt had like a real decision to make as the owner of this team, he was very decisive when he did it. Number one, hiring Andy Reid. We've heard the story about like Andy is supposed to be going to Arizona and like Clark's just like, no, that's not going to happen. You're going to come work for me. That was the first time that Clark got to make a real decision as the owner of this football team. The first time that he could put his stamp on it. With Andy came John Dorsey, from a long, successful organization in Green Bay. And after whatever it was, like 5 years of putting this roster together, an undeniably incredible job, suddenly John Dorsey's gone. Like we had to try to come up with reasons, but like you and I were in denial for years that like what happened, and Clark Hunt had to like swiftly make that decision, and it was something that like honestly I don't think any of us saw coming, right? And you know, the hiring of Brett Veach feels sort of like an Andy saying, hey, you know, maybe it was Andy telling Clark, I don't think I can work with John anymore, and here's his replacement. And that's what Clark went with. It's totally possible. But I guess in the way that I view Clark Hunt, I view him as a businessman. And although he has occasionally like shown some passion for this team and this franchise, we've even made jokes that he's like a robot. Well, if he's a robot, then what he's going to do is sit down with Andy. You know, if they miss the playoffs a second straight year and Mahomes is, you know, healthy up until 2 games left or whatever, like we can't use Mahomes' health as an excuse. I don't even really think we can use injury as an excuse last year. If we have 2 seasons back to back like that, I don't care what Andy has done for this franchise. Clark Hunt to me seems like the type of guy that would go in and say, hey, Andy, so our first objective every year is to win the AFC West. And thank you so much for winning it 9 consecutive times. But now 2 years in a row, we haven't come close. Right. And hey, we haven't made the playoffs 2 years in a row. Like, coach, what are we doing? And you got to tell me, like, if you think you can fix this, I need you to actually like come to me with the plan, because I'd probably just give you carte blanche before now. But like, is it time? You know, like, look at your age, pal, and look at the results on the field. You know, like, I think that Clark is not here to tolerate another season. Like, he knows what he has. He wants to get the most out of it, you know?
I mean, it's undeniably a huge year for Andy going forward and everything.
Absolutely.
I want to get back to Bieniemy because we didn't spend enough time on him. So why I like the Bieniemy hire. Andy's biggest blind spot right now is the running game. That was my biggest issue with the, you know, offensive scheme in 2020. I could look at, you know, runs from under center. They're working very well. I can look at this stupid shotgun sideways run that they're running nonstop. I can tell you that run doesn't work very well. We keep doing it. That needs to be fixed. I think Bieniemy does help fix that. Some stats on him. The Bears this year, 3rd in rushing yards, third in yards per carry. DeAndre Swift, who might get cut. Keep an eye on him. Went from 3.8 yards per carry the year before to 4.9 yards per carry this year. 2023 with the Commanders, which you mentioned. They were 27th in rushing yards that year, but 7th in yards per carry on a terrible team. That's with Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson as the running backs.
They had the most pass attempts in the league that year. They threw the ball more than anybody. Like, they had Sam Howell out there throwing the ball 55, 60 times a game because they had the league's 32nd ranked defense. Literally, I mean, worst defense in the league.
It's just a mess. It's hard to even draw from that because it won't be comparable to what's going on here at all. Bieniemy's time with the Chiefs. Spent 5 years here as the running back coach. 2013, 2017. The Chiefs averaged 5th in yards per carry those 5 years. The next 5 years with Bieniemy and Mahomes, the Chiefs were 10th in yards per carry per average. In the 3 years after Bieniemy, they've dropped to 21st in yards per carry. So a noticeable drop off from, you know, him as running back coach when I don't know if he has much, you know, hand in the scheme at that point, but he's definitely involved, I guess. Him as the offensive coordinator without much great talent at running back and getting much more out of it than we have these last 3 years. So for those reasons, and I think, you know, number one on how the offense improves in 2026 to me isn't, you know, Andy Reid reworking this passing game, bringing in new voices or anything. It's fixing the damn running game. And I think that's what Bieniemy is brought in here to do. And I expect him to do it. Like, I have great confidence that he'll be able to overhaul this running game, see everything that went wrong, add some talent back there, maybe a big time talent, and you know, go from bottom 5 to, you know, average or above average, depending on what they sink into that running back room. So what's to be expected until 2026. So for those reasons, I like the Bieniemy hire. Also, the offense just needs some fire. I feel like they kind of fell into a rut of we'll see what the defense does and kind of work off of that instead of like, we're going to take this shit to you like we used to. And so I think Bieniemy kind of helps. He seems like the most fiery guy. Obviously, Andy's going to be laid back. Nagy seems laid back. It's just kind of too much laid back, like see what they're going to do. And then we'll make our adjustments and go off of that instead of just like Bieniemy in my mind kind of comes in and be like, no, let's fucking pound these people down.
Yeah. I was trying to like think about this team and like where some of the deficiencies are compared to what is working. You know, you mentioned like the under center runs brought this to mind. And like, dude, the two things that seemed like they were most important to offenses in the NFL this year were running the ball and throwing it downfield. Like it's those two. Can you run the ball effectively, and can you throw the ball downfield effectively?
Can you draw pass interference penalties?
And the Chiefs, like those might be the two things that they're worst at. And they are potentially the two things that all of the best offenses are doing better than other teams. And the Chiefs are terrible at both. So I'm not sure if you saw this stat from Solak after Bills Broncos. On the day, Bo Nix throwing the ball 20 plus yards downfield, 4 attempts. Okay. He went 3 of 4 for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then I guess there's probably more attempts in here because I think they count DPI as an attempt? No. So he threw it 6 times because they had the 2 DPI flags, right? But ultimately that was, he was 3 of 4 for 82 yards with 2 touchdowns and those 2 DPIs that we saw, right?
Throws a nice deep ball.
He was very inaccurate with it this year.
Was he?
He was down there with Mahomes. Yeah. But like just taking shots, just throwing it, chucking it down the field. Josh Allen in that game, 0 for 9 with 2 interceptions on throws 20 plus yards down the field. And so I think if we look at that, the Chiefs would have looked pretty much exactly like the Bills. Like we haven't really been able to win that way since Tyreek left town. Obviously they've won a lot of different ways, but the two things that I see successful offenses doing consistently are, again, probably the two things that I think the Chiefs are the worst at right now: running the ball, and hitting those shots downfield.
Yeah, it kind of goes into, I made like a list of how I want to see how the offense improves in 2026. And the running game needing a complete overhaul was number 1. That's Bieniemy. And with the goal of going from bottom 5 to above average, like I kind of said. Passing game needs a refreshment. Not an overhaul, but a refreshment. In the scheme, they need to start winning in like the intermediate, because I think that might help open up the deep passing game a little bit more. But it just seems like they don't have any real receivers running 15-yard routes. Like they're just not attacking the middle of the field. And I think a lot of that is scheme. I think they need to upgrade in talent. They need a man coverage beater that they can rely on. They really haven't found that since Travis Kelce exited his prime. They've been relying on the scheme to beat man coverage. And I think that's a large part of what's gotten stale. So they need a receiver who will be able to beat man coverage. Is that Xavier Worthy? Possibly. He didn't show much of it this year. It looked promising after his rookie season, but did not see much of it this year. So do they need to find someone new there? I would hope so. And then performance, which is Mahomes' deep ball. Mahomes needs to figure out the deep ball, figure out how to throw that, and start putting that on the money. And so that's kind of how I see the offense taking a few gradual steps in the passing game to get better there. Big changes in the run game, which will help everything else, obviously. And I think that's how the offense gets back on track in 2026.
I want to chew on that for a second. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to dig in a little bit.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Okay, so you said there's 4 things?
Yeah.
What are the four things? Give me the category, the title of what they are, and each of the four things.
You put a whole fucking outline here.
Just a list. Like, what are your four things and why?
Right.
What are they category?
Roman numeral 1, category A, run game overhaul, passing scheme, win in the intermediate. That's where I want them to improve in the scheme.
Okay.
Talent to get a man coverage beater, and performance, Mahomes deep ball.
Okay. And that's how they're going to overhaul this offense, or like how? Okay.
That's I'm the new voice in the room.
Oh, interesting.
That's
nice.
Yeah. Just start playing amateur hour throughout the Chiefs facility. The message will get sent.
There we go. I was trying to like think about off-season priorities for this team. Can I pitch something to you?
Pitch it. Let's go.
So I think that the Chiefs have 4 roster priorities this offseason. 4 things that they have to do on this roster. And the number one thing that they've got to do is find Patrick Mahomes a number 1 option. We need a guy that when the chips are down and Mahomes is looking to make a play, that this is that dude for him. And the reason that I say that is because since Patrick has been the quarterback, he's had at least one dude, if not 2 dudes. And we're talking like dudes. Okay? Because of Tyreek and Travis. Like,
wait. Are you talking about Doo-Doo Smith Pooster? Wait, Doo-Doo Shit Booster.
Dude.
Does Doo-Doo count as a dude? Dude.
I mean, he had 1 year where he was kind of a dude. No, I just think that the Chiefs have got to have a guy that Patrick can like really put his trust in. And I don't think that, what Travis is at this stage, like say he comes back next year, like, I'm sorry, it's not enough. And he with, whatever we get from Rasheed or whatever we get from Xavier Worthy and then whomever they add, like it's still, I'm sorry, it's not enough. And so this is where I'm at. Here's my pitch to you, his Dirkness. I think that their number 1 roster priority this offseason is to find Patrick Mahomes a number 1 option. And personally, I think that this player not only will be, but has to be a running back.
Oh.
And it's for a few different reasons here. One of the reasons is that like overhauling that running back room is one of the 4 roster problems that they have. And so I get to cross 2 things off with 1 move if I bring in like a star. If it's, let's say it's Breece Hall, right?
Nice.
But here's the thing, man. Like I also get to cross 2 things off the list probably more cheaply than I can do at wide receiver and maybe even at tight end. Like I can put Breece Hall on my roster for cheaper than I can put a guy that would be our focal point in the passing game as a receiver or a tight end, right? I think that they've never been a team in Andy Reid's tenure where the running back was the best skill player on that offense with Patrick. And so
I was gonna say this is some serious Jamal Charles erasure.
I'm thinking in terms of like Patrick has always had like Tyreek or Travis. And it's never been like the first guy that you would think of outside of Patrick Mahomes. It's never been the running back. Never. And if you bring in Breece Hall this offseason, if you draft Jeremiah Love this offseason, they become the number 1 option. Like they can be your leading receiver. Like it becomes Christian McCaffrey. Like your offense, and think of this, because we keep talking about new ideas and new solutions and all these different things. You're the focal point of your offense. From your perspective, if you say, I have Breece Hall and he's the best offensive player that I have outside of Mahomes, your solutions are changing dramatically. Like the structure of the way that you are playing offense is going to get an overhaul because suddenly when it's, 3rd and 5, I'm trying to think of a way to get the ball to my running back and not Travis Kelce, right? Like it forces you to make changes. And I think in what could be like a really, really exciting way. And it just seems so much. I'm telling you, this is where I'm at, Dirk. Like, I think that a king shit running back, a dude that you are like, this is our guy, top line running back, is like, it might be the cure all for this offense. Like I am so all in on getting a big top of the line, like number one running back and what it can do for this offense that like, I think it is literally the number one thing that they've got to do. And all of these things, all the problems that we keep talking about might suddenly be much smaller than we feel like they are.
So does that mean that's Breece Hall or Jeremiah Love or bust?
I think that if I am Brett Veach, the only way that I can operate this offseason, like with the mentality that I'm talking about, is probably by just being the team that pays Breece Hall.
What if and someone brought this up to me after our show last week? What if Breece Hall gets franchise tagged?
I mean, that's very, very possible. It seems improbable to me, but it's obviously totally possible.
Yeah.
And look,
and also Jeremiah Love could get taken before pick 9. Like they could
absolutely
get shut out of this. And even Kenneth Walker, who I want to talk about a little bit, he'd kind of be like the next option up and being that guy. Charbonnet goes out with a torn ACL. So now his season next year is in question. And so now, which I thought Kenneth Walker they'd let him go because of Charbonnet. Yeah. Now I feel like that kind of might change their off-season plans here. Definitely. To where, either they franchise tag Walker or just bring him back on a contract.
Well, and especially depending on how the next couple games go. If Kenny Walker, plays his tail off, he's getting an extension this offseason. Like, there's no way he's going to end up being a straight free agent for the Chiefs.
I really wanted to watch him closely because I was kind of on the fence of, do I like Kenneth Walker? I need to look up his injuries, but man, he looked really good in that game. And so it's just like there's like a chance that they can get completely shut out of like these top running backs. Like I think a lot of people are with you kind of wanting a dude like Kenneth Walker. So he played every game this year. It looks like he missed 6 the year before that, missed 2 the year before that, and missed 2 the year before that. I
think he was in a literal 50-50 timeshare with Charbonnet this year. I don't see the total stats, but I think the carries are like probably very, very close.
Yeah. And he was not really good last year. And then a big rebound year this year. He's just, I don't know. He's an interesting dude. He looks, I'm not sure if he fits the bill or not, but yeah, there's just kind of questions about all these guys now. And then you just look after that. Then you're looking at.
Well, I'm like ATN is a guy that like, if he is out there and you're talking about somebody that can play all 3 downs for you, like Etienne would be an excellent fit in this offense. But like, I don't know that Jacksonville's going to let him go. I mean,
I think they'll go to 2.
I mean, I don't know. It's possible. I mean, the Chiefs are going to have some options, but like, I don't know, man. I just look, it would be very Chiefsy if they went out and went with his Dirkness's plan and signed Algier and Gainwell. And that was how they tried to approach the running game. And you know what? They might be really successful at it. And I've wasted a lot of breath, but.
Well, I put up that poll and most people were right in line with you. It was something like 80% would prefer to get a horse at running back 1 instead of a little timeshare.
I mean, some of that is just go sign Derrick Henry. Like but like, it's not some of it. The star power, I do think, causes defenses to show some respect, even if you don't necessarily change what your offense is doing that much. But like, if your running back is your best skill position player, like your best option, like wherever Patrick Mahomes is looking, like who's the best player. If it's your running back, that changes your offense significantly. It's never been structured that way. And I'm really curious to see what it would look like, but you got to have a guy worthy of that. And I don't know that they'll just be able to get one of the maybe 2 or 3. Like it's a small number.
I keep debating this with my brother. He keeps like saying like, we need to get a horse. And he's like, do you want Love? He's like, I'm not sure if Love's the right move at pick 9. It's like, well, then your options are very limited here and you're going to run out of them very quickly because there's, he's like, just pick a running back in the second round. I'm like, right now it's Matty Lane's called it a historically, what did he say? Generational lack of depth at running back in this year's class. So it's just like
Love's backup, one of the best. He might be the number 2 running back.
Yeah. or Emmett Johnson, who I love at Nebraska, but it's always hard to watch someone like you love at college and like see how they project because you always think they're going to be awesome, but then obviously it doesn't always work out. But
dude, I saw his stats. Just looking at the stats. That dude was unbelievable last year.
He was so
he had like 2,500 yards from scrimmage or something. I mean, he must have just been the entire offense.
He led the country, I think. I spent all of the 2024 season because he was in a timeshare with another couple other guys. And I'm just like, we had a Nebraska group chat and I'm just like, you have to play Emmett Johnson. Give Emmett Johnson the fucking ball. And it took him 9 weeks to figure it out. And finally, Dana Holgerson comes in and starts, this running back's way better than these other guys. I don't know why you guys keep mixing this up. Play him. And then he starts taking off at the end of last year. So yeah, he's interesting. But I mean, that's the kind of class you're down to if you miss out on these top few guys. All right, what else you got on the list?
The other priorities for the roster, the second one is that they have to find, I think that they need to find an anchor, but at the very least, they got to find a contributor on that defensive line. Chris Jones and his contract are what they are at this point. Like they're sunk costs. He's a great player with some elite stretches, maybe still in the tank, but he's not likely to show it in any more than like maybe half the games next season. Like if Chris Jones has I'm going to rededicate myself like Travis Kelce did, and we get like the best version of Chris Jones next year, he's still only going to be like really, really awesome about half the time. It's just, the accumulation of time on the body and whatever. Losing Wharton in free agency was really tough, but it's Dana Minahu not stepping up to help is what actually sunk the defense.
Yep.
And so it feels like a complete overhaul of like the role players on that defensive line is what they're looking at. I think in a perfect world, it's Chris Jones and George and the rookies are basically like what you keep on the defensive line. And see, what you can put together with a bunch of fresh bodies. But because of where Chris Jones is at in his career, and because of what we both have and have not seen from George, a big part of me thinks that number one priority basically becomes who is the best defensive lineman that we get to take at pick number 9. That is where I feel like this train is headed, because it's going to be their best opportunity to get like a real difference maker. We'll dig more specifically into free agency probably at another time, but man, I think that if you're trying to get like the best player on your defensive line, like that's what you're trying to find this offseason. Boy, I think your best option is doing that at number 9, or even potentially trying to trade up a few picks if you have like a dude and you want to guarantee you get them. I don't know that they're going to be able to go out and like find a guy, beyond.
But it seems like there are options though. Like I think it's got to be the betting favorite on the board is that the Chiefs are going to be taking a defensive lineman. Ruben Bain. I thought he looked really good last night, and he was going up against a dude on Indiana. There was a really fun. Someone posted the PFF grade for the Indiana left tackle every game this season. And he's like I think he's like a second round prospect going into this year. He's on the radar. He's an NFL guy. And it was like every single grade's like 85, 90, 92, 88, 87. And then last night, his pass blocking grade was a 16. He just got beaten up. And it's not just Bane, because I know they have the other edge defender who's, like a late first round guy. I think they have a D tackle who's even on NFL draft boards. So Ruben Bane will be available. I think he's kind of the guy everyone's kind of latching on to, probably because he's still playing in these playoffs when we're all paying attention. But then obviously the Texas Tech dude, the dude from Auburn, even the interior defensive guy from Clemson. I haven't really looked at him, but
those are like the four.
Yeah. So
Peter
it sucks that like the Oregon quarterback went back, because that takes a pick off the board that would have been taken before the Chiefs pick. But you'd hope one of those four guys slides to 9 and you're able to pick one. Hopefully they like all of those guys. Who knows how things will shake out, but that has to be the betting favorite for what the Chiefs are going to pick. Otherwise you're looking at Love or Downs. You would have to think. But yeah, I mean, obviously they need to get better at pass rush. Obviously that's a hard position to fill. So you're going to have to spend buttloads of money in free agency or a high draft pick to do it. Or just keep throwing darts like they kind of did with the second and third round picks last year. But yeah, I mean, pass rush is a big reason that the defense fell off.
Yeah.
A big reason that it felt like they fell off, because you're just watching them play to play and third downs, giving up these third and longs all season long, which was kind of like almost like the story of the 2025 Chiefs. At least the defense was giving up these third and longs over and over. So they have to shore that up, and their best player is going to be getting worse every year. And it might fall off drastically one of these years. So they're going to have to find a way to start getting pass rush from new dudes. And right now we don't know where that's coming from.
And, the picture is further complicated by the fact that the defensive lineman that you took to try to solve a lot of those problems last year, you didn't get to see very much from. He's going to be coming off an ACL. He's in between positions or whatever, because he was lighter in college and then you put weight on. I don't know. There's a lot of questions about Omar Norman Lott, to where, like, I don't know if I'm the only person that does this, but like, we drafted a rookie. I kind of felt like it was a reach, and then he got hurt. And so he's written off in my mind.
Yeah.
Like if he ever does anything for this team, I will be surprised, happy, ecstatic or whatever. But like, he's just kind of done in my brain. And this happens. Travis Kelce got hurt his very first season after a whole bunch of dumb shit in college. And then we saw what Travis Kelce became. And I had a lot of people that were like, that dude is so talented. He's going to be amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. We'll see. Yeah. Because I've had the Brad Cottoms and Total Rockies.
Brad Cottom 2.0. I don't know. We had that discussion so many times. I don't know if that was off air or on air, but we did call him Brad Cottom 2.0. He had the same number. He had the same build. He looked the same. I was like, this dude's Brad Cottom. I thought you were actually talking about another dude who doesn't even get mentioned, who was another big problem for who should be part of the solution at this point and has definitely been written off, and that's Felix. That's what I thought you were going to go with. I don't even remember what his injury was.
Honestly,
what was Felix?
Can I tell you, when I said we got to just like get rid of all the role players and move forward with the guys that have to be here, and I
didn't think of him, did you?
I forgot Felix was on the team. He's also just been written off, literally out of sight, out of mind. And like,
what was his injury?
It might have been like the mystery IR,
Man, are you ready for this? A season-ending hamstring strain.
Ooh, tore it off the bone. That sounds terrible.
I guess so. Severe grade 3 is what it says.
I have no, I don't expect anything from quite a few of those guys. And so we're talking about, and look, I text you earlier today. I've seen, and look, I follow a small number of people and don't use social media very much. So like my view of what is going on out there might be pretty limited, but I've seen a number of people suggesting that like, hey man, the Chiefs are just like a couple of moves away from having like $100 million to spend. You know, it's totally fine. I sent you the link to this thing on Spot Track. It's like a beta tested thing right now where you can just tinker with the roster. Every single player has this like drop down menu, and you can just, do I want to cut them? Do I want to give them an extension? Do I want to trade them? Do I want to, like restructure their contract? It has all these different things that you can do, right?
I traded Mahomes. This is the first thing I did. Let's see what happens. Let's see what we do with this little cap space we just opened.
And I completely destroyed our salary cap. So this is, I tried to do what I think the Chiefs will do. And I restructured Patrick's contract.
Let's go.
And then I released Jawan Taylor. I released Drew Tranquil. And I released Mike Dana.
Yeah.
Right. So I released 3 guys in our top 12 contracts in order to save as much money as I could. Every other guy in that category was like, if you cut them, it costs you more to cut than to save, basically.
I think, the only other option really is Christian Fulton, but I would think he's coming back.
Right. And the only other thing that it looks like you can do to create space is to add void years to Chris Jones's contract. And I don't know if Spot Track is correct here, right? But in order to restructure Chris Jones's deal, it looks like Spot Track is suggesting that the Chiefs would have to add void years, which is not something that they have done historically. So here's one remaining option. It's something involving Trent McDuffie, whether it's an extension or it's a trade. He's at about $13.5 million this season, which is a very reasonable number for him to be at on his 5th-year option. I don't know if the Chiefs are in a hurry to give him an extension or in a hurry to move on from him at that number. But that is like their one remaining option. And so if the Chiefs do that, if they restructure Mahomes to the tune of saving like $50 million on the salary cap this year, and then they cut those 3 guys, Spot Track only had them sitting at $23 million in cap space. And I literally was looking at it saying, I don't see another move except for something with McDuffie or something that they just don't do with the void years.
Well, so the Joel Corey article like a couple weeks ago that I had kind of bookmarked because he was talking about all these restructures. They can restructure with Jones, like you talked about. They're definitely going to with Mahomes. And he says Trey Smith is another prime restructure candidate. Which could create $12 million in cap space.
It looked like void years, according to just looking at like that, the tool on Spot Track, but it literally also says it's beta. So like, what do I know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can't relate to that. A couple of alphas can't relate to a beta. Come on.
Right. I guess I do think that the Chiefs are, man, there are going to be some people, I imagine, with 6 draft picks, with limited financial resources, and ultimately with the decision that you make at offensive coordinator is to bring back Eric Bieniemy. There are going to be some people that think this is the worst offseason that the Chiefs have ever had. They're just going to hate everything that they do, no matter what they do, because they just can't do enough in order to make them happy. You know, the Chiefs, I feel like, are going to have to bargain shop in free agency. Like, it's possible. That's why I say, like, you can get bang for your buck at running back, and every other guy, it's going to be like a whole bunch of 1-year deals, or maybe you're seeing, 2 for $8 on some of these guys or something. But like, they're really going to have to be poaching people, trying things and hoping for the best at a lot of these different positions. Because they just have limited resources, man. Like, and because it's what feels like this monumental off season that if they don't get it all right, then it's all going to come crashing down. Man, they're in a really, really difficult position, right? Like, it's kind of worst case scenario that everyone feels like you need to make all these changes. And you're like, how do you propose that we do that?
and yet we've advocated for it. They need a horse of a running back, a new number one receiver, a top line pass rusher.
Correct.
They need all these things.
I haven't gotten to my number 3, which is who's going to play safety next year?
Is going to play safety.
I think that they need a dog at safety. Brian Cook is he's just gonna cost too much. I don't think that he's gonna be back, and I also don't know if he is the caliber of player that they want. Despite being probably the best available guy in free agency. I mean, look, Spags went from Tyrann Mathieu to the year they decided to let him go. They signed the best free agent safety. Well, the best free agent safety this year is Brian Cook. Like, there's a couple other names out there, but Brian Cook is literally projected to make the most money. And so I just think that the Chiefs are going to be, man, they're in a position where here I am saying, well, honestly, your best chance of getting a difference maker at safety is picking Caleb Downs at number 9. And so I'm like, if you want a difference maker on the defensive line, it's probably the 9th overall pick. If you want a difference maker at safety, it's probably the 9th overall pick. And that's not to say that you can't find either of those things later in the draft. It just gets harder and harder and harder. And I'll tell you this much, man. I do not envy Brett Veach. Did you happen to see Stephen Ruiz tweet? It was DaCosta, the GM in Baltimore, and Bean, the GM in Buffalo, and then Veach, the GM in Kansas City. And he's like, they're all thieves and liars or something. Like, I hate these guys. They got the hardest jobs in the league, man. When you have a paid number 1 quarterback and you're picking in the last 5 to 8 picks of the round every single year after year after year, that's the hardest way to build a team. You have the least amount of money and you're picking at a disadvantageous position all the time. It's set up for you to fail.
And your expectations are to reach the Super Bowl. But I mean, you're seeing everything in Buffalo right now. It's like they're falling in line right behind the Chiefs. They're seeing all the same problems that like Chiefs fans have kind of been pointing out. And it's just, look at this GM's draft track. First off, Bills fans are, from what I can tell, I've been clicking a lot of Bills stuff because I've been, eating up the Josh Allen content and just like need more and more. But now my timeline is like full with Bills fans. They are not happy that the GM is keeping his job and got a promotion. And I think it all stems from like him calling out the fans.
Not a promotion? What are you talking about?
Well, he got like president of football operations added to his title, I think.
Was that like in the same press release as like we've relieved the coach of his duties and we're also promoting GM Brandon Beane to president of football operations?
I don't think it's the same, but there's also, they're not happy about how they push out McDermott because there's no like video that they did. There was no like goodbye press conference. Like there's a lot of Bills fans that are unhappy with how they pushed McDermott out. Not that they necessarily did push him out, but how they did it. And then unhappy that Bean was the one that kind of won because there seems like there's a bit of a power struggle that's kind of gone down between those two. So Bills fans are kind of going through it. But just for the record, they're kind of copying the 2022-23 Chiefs. That's why they got to this point with the no receivers. They saw the success that the Chiefs had with, it's almost like a fantasy strategy, like the no running back strategy. They go no receivers because Mahomes could pick them up. That was like the philosophy going into that season. We're not going to spend anything at receiver because Mahomes can, pick them up enough, and then we'll spend our money elsewhere where Mahomes can't help out. Now that's kind of, it won the Chiefs a Super Bowl or two, but has really fallen on their face these last couple of years as the Chiefs and Bills sit here with 0 receiving options to speak of, and they're both kind of going through the same problems. So yeah, that's kind of, it is weird that like, you see those questions about the Ravens right now too. Like they're like, this team is old and the talent is kind of going out the door. Like you're seeing these 3 teams that have kind of been on top of the AFC kind of all face these tough questions now where 2 of them didn't even make the playoffs and the Bills did. But they're looked at as like this make-a-wish team. They're like, can Josh Allen carry this group of losers to a Super Bowl? Which I definitely don't agree with, but that's kind of how they're seen. It's just wild to see that those 3 teams the talent drop off for him. And you're right. It's picking at the end of every round. It's having the money constraints. It's all these things.
I saw a stat that like Bean had drafted something upwards of like 60 players, and 2 of them have made the Pro Bowl. And I don't know if that's like the right measurement or whatever, you know.
But even one of those was Dawson Knox, who was like Dawson Knox, a Pro Bowler. I mean, I guess if you want, it's not even the starting tight end. But
I think I always find it strange when you've had like people in a job for, you know, many, many years, and you decide to make a change and it's only one of them. You fire the GM, but keep the coach. And so then it's a lame duck coach, and your new GM is going to fire him after one season. Yeah. We'll keep him on, but like not for very long. You know, like
isn't that what happened to Mike Vrabel? They like fucked up the coach and GM timelines, and then the GM was like wanted his guy and got rid of Mike Vrabel, and it's like, what are you doing?
Right. Wow. Yeah. You know, I look around
and then fired him a year later.
So it's like a third of the jobs in the league came open this offseason. And
well, did you see the longest tenured? You talked about Andy being the longest tenured coach in the AFC. The second longest is Zach Taylor. Everybody else is from 2022 or later in the AFC.
Yeah. I think that the Falcons got the best coach available. I like Stefanski quite a bit. I think that he going down to Atlanta is a really, really nice move. Have you been following the stuff in New York? It's just too funny. The GM Joe Shane, he got asked by these New York reporters because, like, I guess Harbaugh got quote unquote final say, and Joe Shane was like, "It's just words on a piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything." And I'm like, it sounds like you guys have been fighting over those words on a piece of paper for like 3 days, and now you're trying to play it off like you don't care. I'm not sad to see Harbaugh go to the NFC. I'm not sad to see Stefanski go to the NFC. I don't know if Jeff Hafley is good. He was coaching Boston College like 2 years ago. Did he only coach the defense in Green Bay for one season? Maybe two.
At least 2 years. At least 2 years. I think.
But he's taken over down in Miami. You know, I don't know. When you look at these jobs in the AFC of these teams that matter, Baltimore looks like they're maybe circling Anthony Weaver. He's looking like he might be the favorite. He's the current defensive coordinator in Miami, and just like everybody has nothing but great things to say about him. I have no idea what direction Buffalo's going to go in. I have no idea what direction Pittsburgh's going to go in for the guy that they want to, you know, have in that job for the next 25 years or whatever. You know, are you following this stuff? Like, is it, obviously you like the NFL, but do you think any of these things are important or going to affect the Chiefs in any type of way? Or, you know what, we hired our offensive coordinator, and so who cares?
No, I mean, definitely with the Bills hire matters, I guess. The Ravens, I mean, they should still be around. I think Flores is definitely interesting just because I think he brings almost an automatic good defense along with him.
I thought he was going to be the shoo-in in Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean,
really Buffalo was just going to be like, that's our dude right there.
And so, I don't know if Buffalo wants to go like offensive or defensive, because usually you almost kind of go back and forth. And so they just had the defensive guy, but I always like pairing like the great quarterback with the defensive head coach, because like he can kind of handle the offense, and then like Flores can handle the defense. Now McDermott should have been that, and kind of was for a lot of the times, just didn't work out in playoff games against the Chiefs mostly. So yeah, I guess I'm keeping my eye on Flores. Kubiak, I guess, is kind of interesting just because of the name and the success he had here in Seattle.
Is it Clint? Right?
It is Clint.
Yeah.
Because there's two Kubiak sons kind of. One of them was he in the national championship last night? I just saw a few of them. Nick,
do you think Joe Brady is going to be interviewed by Buffalo? Like,
is he getting interviewed by them? I saw him getting interviewed by Baltimore.
Okay.
Billy Pesto does not like Joe Brady. I haven't heard from Billy Pesto in the last few days. We were texting a whole lot last week. It's been radio silent, and I'm giving him his space since whatever. And God, just a tragic. If I'm a Bills fan, I mean, we talked about this at one point. If you were the Bills fan and you waited out this entire Patriots dynasty, waited it out, finally waited for your turn, and you get in there. Okay, it's our turn. Now it's our turn. And that comes and goes without a Super Bowl appearance. And now the Patriots, you have to watch the Patriots back on top, and they're in the AFC Championship hosting a backup quarterback, or not hosting, but playing a backup quarterback. Mm-hmm. Oh man, that would be tough to stomach. It's just, I think Bills fans are really going through it right now.
Is there any chance that because they lost again, there is a chance. Have you listened to Simmons? They said that they think that Josh is the second best quarterback in the league, and that number one is currently vacant. They said it's that the quarterback title is up there. It's up for grabs. Nobody has it, but Josh is number two. You can't be the best quarterback in the league and keep losing. Like Simmons was, he's mad at Josh now because he made him look bad. I went so hard on you're the best quarterback in the league, and then you do this. Lose in overtime again because he's never won an overtime game ever. What's that? What a stat.
His stats in overtime. Yeah, that's even worse than the 0-7. Like you could still be good, I think, and lose those overtime games. He has 26 attempts for 81 yards. And 2 picks. It's horrible. I can't believe how bad it is. But yeah, I mean, I've been saying this for the last month or so. If Josh goes out and earns it, I think the championship quarterback one belt is his. But he can't just lose in the wild card round or the divisional round and just have the belt. No, that doesn't work like that. So in my opinion, it would still be in Mahomes' possession. I don't think it seems unfair to strip him of it. Maybe he's a beatable champion at this point. So there's to be some contenders that get shots, but no, I don't know. Somebody has to have the belt. Otherwise,
that's the thing. So if Mahomes still has it, then he's late career Floyd Mayweather ducking opponents while he's in rehab right now. We'll see when I feel like someone's worthy of contending against me again.
What's gonna be funny? I have this thought in me. I never know where to put it, but it's a funny thought. Mahomes this offseason is going to be ranked higher on all-time quarterback lists than he will on the current quarterback lists. People will sit there and say,
yeah. He's the third greatest.
He's the second best quarterback of all time, but he's the fourth best quarterback in the NFL right now. It's gonna be so silly. What? How can this be? I guess I kind of get it, but I don't really get it. I mean, I think you still have to put them.
Well, it's that same, thing that happened in the NBA where it's well, we can't just make LeBron the MVP every single year. And it's you could.
No, but he had the best player in the world title, even for years that he was not winning MVP. I mean, you can give an MVP to Derrick Rose, but we all still know, LeBron James is the best player in the world.
Yeah.
That's why it's different. And the belt doesn't switch every single year. That's why I push back on it being vacant. Someone has to take it from Mahomes. If Stafford goes out and wins the Super Bowl this year, I can see that. Not Drake May.
We are going to make time to talk about the draft more.
Bo Nix. No one's going out finer than Bo Nix. Plays the best of any quarterback in divisional round weekend, and then showmanship.
Yeah,
Costanza showmanship. I'm out of here.
I don't feel bad. We're gonna make time to talk about free agency a little bit more acutely. We're gonna make time to talk about the draft a little bit more directly as well. But this show, friends, this episode of Amateur Hour is coming to a close. I am Ryan Scott Hall. He is his Dirkness. Today, We talked a little bit about Eric Bieniemy. We tried to tell you some of these offseason needs. I'm standing by it, Dirk. I really think that the running back position might be the thing that cures all. When we were talking about the Bills, and then I started thinking about, well, James Cook was the best player on their offense. And so how'd that go? And I don't know. I'm feeling a little buyer's remorse on that take, even inside of the same show that I gave it. But I don't know. I think the running back unlocks some things. I'm going to be thinking a lot about that. I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. Dirk, any final parting words?
Well, I think we kind of got dark there at the end, talking about all the things that the Chiefs, all the holes that they need to fill.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember, and it was never more evident than watching games this divisional round weekend, that
Always complete.
there are no great teams in the NFL. And I think we will rarely see truly great teams moving forward. Like, if you get 6 Pacificos in me, I would sit there and tell you, you drop the 2025 Chiefs in this playoffs with the healthy Mahomes, for as shitty as they were, fuck it, I'm taking them. I am fucking, they will win because they will, I trust them to fucking show up. I don't care how bad they looked.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that they earned it, but I'm telling, if you say the Chiefs are going to play at Foxborough next week against New England, they're winning.
I'm picking the Chiefs. Yeah, I mean, it's
they're going to win that game. So it's just important to remember. I mean, the way I kind of look at the NFL now, and maybe for a while, but you just got to be one of the best 4 to 10 teams, and that kind of varies by each year of how many are in the top tier group. And then you just got to start winning coin flip games, and that's all it comes down to. And I think there's probably like 8 of those teams this year. And you're just going to see those 8 teams battle it out in coin flip games. And whoever comes through at the end of those, that's going to the Super Bowl. And the Chiefs came through in a lot of those moments because they still have the best quarterback alive with the championship belt and a coach. Championship belt.
It's going to be a big offseason, man. Going to be a big offseason. Excited to see what happens. Again, I'm Ryan Scott Hall. He's his Dirkness. This has been another episode of Amateur Hour. Go Chiefs.